Hi there, this is Adobe Illustrator once you open it up. So, a couple of things. How do you find the colors? So over here on the left of your screen is the tools. Scroll down to these little three boxes right here. And I clicked on the first one, gives me these colors. There's a color guide here. I've just picked white, so it doesn't really have a lot of colors, but if I go in here and pick a yellow, then go to my color guide, I get different varieties of color in there. And the drop-down menu over here has a lot more options for different colors that work with yellow. Above that are the shapes tools. That's the square right here. When you click on the square, or right click on it, excuse me, gives you the options for your tools. So we're going to start with the rectangle tool. I'm going to come over to my workspace, work paper here. I'm going to left click and drag. And there's my rectangle. These little circles inside represent rounding the shape. And then I get a rounded rectangle. And I'm going to make another actually, I don't want that. I'm going to go and select my ellipsis tool. I'm going to draw an ellipse in here. I want my ellipse to be white, so I have a white selection right here. I'm going to click on that. And then to copy this shape and paste it, it's Control C, Control F, and there should be another shape right underneath that, and there is. And these pink lines are going to help me to line things up. All right. Right now, this box around it allows me to transform this shape. If I click on the little smaller boxes, I can do different things to it, make it bigger, make it smaller. And that is the selection tool. You just click V on your keyboard to get that, and it allows you to change whatever you just made, transform it. Underneath that, so again, the V tool is up here, direct selection. You just directly want to select that shape. You don't want to do anything to it. Click A. And now you can move that shape. Okay. If I drag my cursor over the whole thing, it will allow me to group everything together and move it. So once again, I have my shape. I can move it independently. But if I place my cursor outside the shape, left click and drag over it, it creates this lightly drawn box that groups all the pieces that I have inside of there together, and I can drag the whole thing around. Okay, so here we go. I want to recreate this shape again. Control C, Control F. Here it is, but I want it to be black. another one of them, Control C, Control F. And I have 2. Now I'm in a selection that I don't want. So I'll click V on my keyboard. It allows me to do different things to the shape. Oh. But shouldn't do that. There we go. And my guides will help me to match those up. And I have 2 eyeballs. So right now the outside shape of this face is selected. So I'm going to go Control C, Control F, and I have the same shape repeated. I'm going to work on making a nose. But with the nose, I'm going to suggest the nose shape. It's not going to be perfect, so I want a darker shadow for my nose shape. And put it up here between the eyes. And then I'm going to copy the shape, but change the color of it back to the original skin color. So Control C, Control F, and slide it up a little bit. Go to my dropper, click on the first color I used. It's yellow, and it changes it to yellow. All right, so we got a nose. Let's try and make a mouth. Again, just using these shapes. I'm still in my ellipsis over here, or ellipse tool. I'm going to create an ellipse down here. Oh, I'm not. There it is. I want red. Again, A to move it, V to change it. I have to tell myself that like every second. And to be honest with you, Illustrator is new to me. I'm enjoying this. Photoshop is, like we saw in the video on YouTube, different, but this is, I have to say, cooler, but definitely a lot different. So I have my ellipsis in there for the mouth. I want to alter this. I'll right click on my shapes, go to my rectangle, all right, so I have now a giant red square on top. All right, so I have that selected. I'm going to go to Shift. I'm going to group these, so let's try this. thank you. Fingers are touching other keys as I'm doing this. So let's try and group it. Oh boy, wants to really change the gradient. Cool. I don't want to. And it grouped it. So I selected one, then held down my shift button and clicked on the other, and then G to group, and unselected it by hitting G again. So oh, still in my gradient tool, got to be in my selection tool. Undo gradient, thank you. And they're selected. So the purpose of that will be now I can use this square to cut the shape by coming over here. And you have options once you have selected different shapes. In Adobe Illustrator, it's called Pathfinder or FX. It's a special effect. And I'm going to click the second one over here. Click to minus front. And when you come back over, you have a neater looking mouth shape. Move it up a little bit to make this bigger. All right, a little empty looking, so let's try and add some teeth. So I'm going to come over to my rectangle tool, already selected. Whoops. There we go. It's yellow. I want the teeth. You can keep the teeth yellow if you want, but I'm going to select white. Then again, I got to group these. So make sure you're in a selection tool. So I have it selected, hold down the shift button, click on it. I should group them, but it's not. There it is. Took a second. So be a little more patient with that. And I'm going to come back over to the right-hand side of my screen to the Pathfinder. And there's other things you can do in here. Crop, merge, trim. We're going to divide these into separate parts. So I'm going to click divide. And then I'm going to click on ungroup, and then I'm going to click on the shape that I don't want. Oop. Again, undo clear. Oh, selecting the wrong object here. And there it is. So that took a second. All right. So right there for the teeth, I added a rectangle on top of the red. I grouped them. Then I divided them into different parts by going to the Pathfinder tool and clicking on divide. Then I went back and selected on another area just by clicking on it. And then I selected the particular shape that I wanted to delete, leaving what was grouped behind together. to get the teeth. So you can see my face is coming together. So next I'm going to add some hair. So let's see. I'm going to right click on my ellipse tool. I'm going to pick on black just because it's easiest, and I'm going to drag it over here. Looks good. Oh. Move it around. Get back on my shapes. I'm going to pick another ellipse, and this time I can arrange how I want things to appear on here. I'm going to send it to the back. So get some interesting looking hairstyles. And then I'm going to click on my, oh, come on. Wow, a lot of clicking here, sorry. And I can move this by, again, A is to move, V is to alter. Maybe a little more hair for this person. I click on my tool. And a little more hair up there. A, if I want to move it around. And then I just clicked outside of that. All right, let's add some ears. So I'm back in my ellipse tool. I want to change my color, so I'm going to come over here again, click on the dropper. And as long as what you just added is selected, you can change the color of it. V is to alter the shape. A is to move it. It's right in front of the face, so I'm going to come to the right side of my screen again, click on Arrange, and as you can see, I went to Arrange, Send to Back, and it puts it behind whatever's in front of it. So now I'm going to hold down the Control, hit C, and then Control F. I should have a similar ear to the other side, and that was copied to the back also. So if you get this far, that's awesome. Next I'm going to add a neck, a body, some hands, but it's getting really big. So I'm in the Select tool, which is A. I'm going to drag it over what I've drawn, and everything is selected. Now when I click inside the shape, I can move it. Okay. Go to V. It's all selected. I can shrink it a little bit. All right. I can also turn it if I wait for the right selection to show up. Maybe turn it a little bit. A to move. Okay. And then I clicked outside once I'm happy with it. So again, I bring my cursor over these objects. I can select it. I'm going to copy the shape, Control C, Control F. I'm going to drag it down. I'm going to change the color. I can click on a color in here. Maybe a little darker. It's looking a little green. There we go. So move it down, V to alter it. You can also move it in V, but you gotta be careful. And then I'm going to come to the right side of my screen, unless I want a beard for this person, but I'm going to arrange it and send it to the back. And it should, when you come back, look more like a neck. So if I click in the center, I can move it still a little bit, I believe. Yep, and I get a neck shape. Click outside, check it out. Let's try and add a t-shirt. Right click in here, rectangle tool. I'm gonna drag it over here. Okay, I want my t-shirt not to be boxy, so I'm gonna drag it in. Like that. Maybe a little big. Need to move it. I literally click on the letter A to move it around. Get a good position for this t-shirt. Maybe there, like that. I'm going to add maybe some sleeves. So I'm still in I'm in my move tool, so I got to click back to my shape tool. I'm in rectangle still. I'm going to make a little rectangle over here. Oop. Not in my shape tool again. I clicked out of that somehow. There we go. Oh. Need to move. Oop. So it's sitting kind of on front of the square right now. If I go into my Pathfinder, well, let's try and group it. So I'm going to click on it and shift for the other one. And they're grouped, yep. And once they're grouped like that, I'm going to go over to Pathfinder. I'm going to click on Unite. Click back here, and it has united maybe the sleeve of the shirt into this person. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Click on A to move it. This little ghost, I think, is because there's a tiny bit of a lag. So let's select the Shift G. Oh. And it is merged. So let's give this person some arms. So I'm still in the rectangle tool. I made the same arm by having it selected, then I hit Control C, Control F to paste it. And I'm going to play with the arrangement of these arms and send this one, when I click on arrange, I'm going to send it backward. Send to the back. Let me do that for this one too. All right. And again, to make this person a little more manageable, I'm in my selection tool. I drag my cursor to cover everything, click inside that shape. Oop. And I can shrink everything down a little bit. There we go. So I clicked on A. I dragged over it. It selects all the individual parts that I want to move. Then I click out of here. I'm going to click on V. Then drag over it. And this will allow me to alter these parts. Okay, so V is to alter what you've made. A is to move what you've made. So, pretty good so far. Next up will be the legs and shoes. And I'd like to add some fingers. But we will get to that. Thanks. Good luck. I'll be helping.